Hi everyone, today I'm glad to share a reflection on what I learned from the Crash Course Psychology episodes 9 and 10. Both of them are very interesting to me and I learned them together yesterday, so today I am glad to just talk about some thoughts and some interesting things I can remember from learning them. First, I feel the more I learn this psychology course, the more I have a better understanding of how complex our consciousness is, especially during sleep and in other, long waking states. I think in episode 9, it talks about why we sleep and what happens when we dream. The topic is fantastic, right? I always thought sleep was just for rest, and many people, I think before the 1950s, they all thought like the sleep status is totally different than our awake status, and people just like died. It's like dead in when they are sleeping, but it turns out that it's a lot more than that. Sleep plays a very important role in our memory, learning, and even some emotional regulation. In that episode, I learned, there are so many things we can look at sleep in details. Like there are different sleep stages, from some light sleep to the REM sleep, where most dreaming occurs in that status. And I also found that it's very fascinating that during the REM sleep, our brain activity looks almost like we are awake. Even though our body is essentially paralyzed, it's like our brain is watching a movie we didn't know we were directing. So that is really the mysterious part. I feel, the dreams, the sleeping, they seems like connect with each other so tightly. And do they have a purpose? Like processing something, like emotions, or helping us solve some problems? There is still debate. Of course, I like to know more about our dreams, more about the quality of the sleep. Definitely will help us improve a lot of quality of the lives and our cognition, the memory, learning, and a lot of things, like maybe our neurons development, I think. But it seems like we don't have very solid evidence to show all these things are connected together. But we know they are connected. So I think a lot of the going on research will go to this part. And I also learned about the Freud's idea, the very famous book from Interpretation of Dream. I kind of feel his opinion is not correct because he emphasizes a lot about the dreams, reflect our subconscious or unconscious desires. And it is like, his theory maybe based on his observations of his patients. He has his data and he has the findings and the conclusion he get or he summarizes. But I don't agree at all, because I feel, at least I learned from the episode, it's like the brain science told us it's like so many activities happening in our dreams. They are not just kind of like, some achievement about the desires. It's just the one slice of that. It's a very small piece of that. It could be so many things, like the random combination or something just happening in the person's daily life or in their imaginations. So I feel we still don't understand the dreams, and I don't want to take away this idea as some solid theory. I think it's just a theory in the history, in the development of psychology history. Then I remember in the episode 10, which talks about something beyond the sleep, like hypnosis, meditation, and psychoactive drugs. So it mentions a lot of drug names. I cannot repeat them, but the basic idea is we can use our attention system, or we can select different attention focuses, and we could go into some status like the hypnosis, and in that status we still can control ourselves, but we become more loosey. That means we are easy to take suggestions from the outside. That's why maybe we see so many people can be hypnosis to do something on the stage. And I feel if we can go to the status of the hypnosis as far as we know, it could help us to release some pain or anxiety or some just maybe some bad habits, right? So I feel that has some medical significance. And also the meditation, I feel it's also a very interesting topic. I mean, especially today, I think it becomes very popular. From the episode, I learned that it helps to change the brain over time. Kind of like if you can control your breath or you regularly meditate, you may have the increased activity in some brain areas related to your attention, to your emotional regulation. And maybe that's why we see some people who have high meditation skills always have a very stable emotional status. I feel that is good. That is definitely relevant to well-being, right? And all this like the altered states are sort of like lots of things we could see in a closer distance, and some of them can enhance our awareness. Some of them do the opposite thing. So I feel this part is very attractive. And the last part, it mentions the drugs. So as I mentioned before, I cannot remember which drug corresponds to which function. But basically it's like our brain could be altered or changed by the chemicals. So I don't know how much confidence we have to alter our consciousness by using drugs, but definitely some drugs may lead some results. There seems a relationship, the strong relationship, but our brain or our body can get more tolerant if we use the same drug often and often. That's why like people may have coffee every day, but over time one cup of coffee cannot just make them awake. So put both together, I started to see a theme. Our consciousness isn't a single like on-off switch. It's more like a spectrum, and I feel the consciousness is constantly changing through different states, whether we are sleeping, dreaming, meditating, or under the influence of some substances. It also made me reflect on how fragile and powerful our minds are. Something as natural as sleep can affect our mood, memory, and health. Something like a drug or a meditative breath can change how we see reality. There is both fascinating and a little humbling. Overall, I feel the more I learn the psychology course, the more I appreciate just how much of human experience happens outside our everyday awareness. And if you get a deeper understanding of our mind, it's very helpful and very interesting to be a human. Thank you, and I hope to learn more in the next video, and thank you for watching. Bye.